Hey there, Bootzone here. Time for another update video, I reckon. I start off with this thing. I found it this morning, and then went to collect it shortly after in the car. And it looks spotless. A Lamona. Look at this. It looks new. Integrated washer dryer, model LAM 8900. You can see that there. It's made for a company, what's it called? Howden Joinery. So if you buy a built-in kitchen, or if you buy a kitchen from them, they'll try and sell you these machines. So it's a ready-to-go thing as part of their service. So it's made in Turkey. So I presume that means it's Vestel, which means it's the same as a Beko. Is that right, or something similar? Tell me about it in the comments, because you guys know more about this than I do. Sounds spotless. I did a filter video that'll be up in due course. The filter just had clean water in it, more than I would say would have been on a test wash, but it looked really good. So I'll have a look at this probably, because it's too good to have been left out on the street where I found it. It was left out where there was a Beko a few weeks ago, and that machine was in bits. I actually made a filter video of that recently too. I made a filter video on the street, and it was pretty grim, and the plug was cut off it and stuff. It had been used. All of the paddles were missing from the drum, so it had probably been used for shoes or something and kicked about a bit. I didn't take that one. I took this one because this one looks nice, but I don't know what to do with it. I'll give it a test. I'll explain to you why I don't know what to do with it other than make videos when we get over to the Bosch and the other Beko. I think I'm interested to see what's inside it and what it looks like, but it's just left out on the street, so somebody doesn't want it. That's how it is. Right, out here, that's my shed straight ahead. Out here there's 3 8 freight bikes. The one I did the welding on with Ian Helsby. Hi Ian. It's going great. It's just lovely. It's just a really nice bike. So thanks to Joe who sold it to me. Thanks to Ian. It's, I've done a bit of a paint job on it with the wrong colour of paint. You'll see that on the camera there. It's kind of more orangey than the yellow that the rest of the frame is. But it just rides sweet. There's just no issue with it. It's got these things on it called bat wings, so you can take loads out the side and stuff. I think that one on there on the right is on a bit wonky, but so what. This is my own bike. It just goes fine. Great. There's a black one in there underneath my plastic recycling. My local council tip does plastic now, hard plastic, so I keep a box for bits that I don't have to put them in the bin anymore, but I've got to save them up to cycle them down to the tip. So I've got another bike for that. Another 8 freight. That's the little tractor. I think I made a video about this. It's a Colwood tractor, but the engine that was on it was a Villiers, and it was doctored and butchered before. Someone tried to refurbish it and they wrecked it. It was trash, that engine. So I fitted a Suffolk Iron Foundry, I think that's like an APCO engine, onto it there, and it works now, but I really have no use for it. It's a bizarre single wheel tractor that isn't a rotavator. So it has a power takeoff up here that I haven't got a belt fitted to, but it's got a little tractor wheel with a little tractor tire. It's okay. I've made a video of that fellow over there. Aquarius 6 kg dryer. It just works. I'll tell you about that with the other ones. The Indesit, Andy gave me this back because it started tripping the fuse. So if you know why one of these would trip the RCD, the residual current device in a house, let me know. I brought it home. It runs for, 5 minutes or 10 minutes, and then pop, it trips the RCD. It's not the motor. It's not the motor that spins it, because it spins fine. It's something to do with the fridge inside. Could be a capacitor on the refrigeration motor. I don't know. I've done the pump on this already in another video, so I'm just interested to see what's going on. Down here on the floor, the government banned these things. These are nitrous oxide flasks. Since they banned them, made it illegal, they're just everywhere again. There was a kind of a quiet period for a couple of months, and now they're back. I can pick up 2 or 3 a day off the streets. So I do, and I keep my neighbourhood tidy and I recycle them. That's why they're there. Inside here, it's not very interesting in washing machine world, but there's a storage heater that I found a few doors away up the road and brought it home because it's got a really interesting set of electronics. It's got a very simple display on top. then inside it's got some pretty fancy electronics, and I just want to look at it, really, that's all. Nothing much to do more than that. The scooter, it's died. I rebuilt the battery after Andy Reynolds' instruction, and it just won't start now. No power on at all. If I touch the... It's made out of 2 scooters that I found in various dustbins. There's just nothing. So I'd say the battery's gone flat over winter. I did keep it charged, but yeah, nothing there. This is a load of emergency lighting that I got, LED lighting, and actually we'll do a camera test with that now. But this is what's inside. So you've got a power unit, power supply for the LEDs, and then you've got a backup emergency module, and then lithium-ion batteries. So they're set up on, I think, 7.2 volt lithium-ion, 7.4 volt lithium-ions there. And they're all good. So there's about eight there, and myself and Ian reckon Ian might be able to do something with them. I've already fitted 4 to the shed, and we'll have a look at that now. If I go over to the doors, back over here to the switch, and I'll show you up into the sky. This is my old system. These are fluorescent lights, 6 battens. So off the camera, I don't know if it'll just adjust to the light. 6 battens on. Then, on a different string, I have an extra 4 twin battens. They have twin strips of LEDs in them. Now, there's no real comparison here on a camera like this, but I think that if I do it like this, so that's LED, I'll pull both of them at the same time, and we'll go on to fluorescent. I think fluorescent is brighter. I think it's got more spread and diffusion than the LEDs. So, oh no, both are on at the moment. I'm talking nonsense. I'll turn off the LED. So that's fluorescent. I'm trying to pull both strings at the same time because they're on string switches. We'll get on to fluorescent. If you look into the corners, I don't think you can see as much in the corners. Yeah, I think it's darker in the corners. If you look at that wood up in the back right and all, it's darker there now than if I pull them again. It's just brighter on fluorescent. So, well, the way I've done it, I have a choice of both, which is good for me. I did a little experiment. That's a fluorescent one falling over. I did a little experiment here in this case, this old brass case. Here, I made a piece of paper. I've still put more of them in. These are all of the valves out of those nitrous bottles. All the valves I have ever found. And I did a bit of a calculation. One valve is 18 grams. I have 23 kilos of valves, which I reckon is nearly 1,300 valves. 1,300 nitrous oxide bottles and counting. Isn't that a disgrace? I posted a video of this fellow recently, the master built. It had no element and the controller seemed to be a dud. But here's an element. It came out of a microwave oven, like one with a grill on top and another element in the back. Little Samsung fellow. It's just out there on the right in front of that IKEA bag, that blue bag, a little black oven there. So that's too big an element, but it's 1,300 watts instead of 12 or 800. I don't know which one it's meant to have, but what does this say? Oh, max water. I thought it was something W. It says max water. I'm just looking at it inside out. So that's a 1,350 watt element, but I might be able to run it with a resistor as a ballast, or maybe ballast is the wrong word, or just run it as it is. I've ordered from eBay a thing called a PID temperature controller, and it'll come and I'll make a video of fitting that and trying to get this fellow going. That will only run the bottom element, but that's okay, because that'll work as a smoker without that grill feature on top. And I think that one will fit because it's a bit like off to the side, so I'll have to make it fit because it's not the right mounting holes, but I'll do that. In here, oh, there's the oven that John gave me. That's an oven for heating up welding electrodes. I've fixed it and it works. That's as much as I need it for. That job is done. In here is this thing. I'll try and hold it so you can see it and that I can use it. It's about 4 foot long, 1.5 meters, not quite, maybe. It's got a T-handle in both directions, a pipe down a pipe, and then it's got this ball on the bottom. So if I pull the handle, the ball opens. It's like a scoop. And if I push it shut, it'll snap shut, like that. And this thing I found in a skip, and it was broken, and I had to figure it out, and then put a tiny drop of weld there to get it back together. That was all it needed, and the bar was a bit bent. It still is, but so it was kind of binding. If you can see there, it's not perfectly straight, but it's good enough for it to work. It's a thing. I've seen them on the internet on videos. You know those drain unblocking videos? Well, this thing here, what you do is you are unblocking a drain. It's a 4-inch plastic drain in, standard size, 4-inch 100 mm 10 centimeter drain pipe. You can drop that down it'll fit, and you can use it as a little scoop to scoop out, shovelfuls of sand or whatever detritus is down in the bottom. Normally sand or, something like that. Some old silty stuff down at the bottom of a drain. The bottom of a U-bend or something like that. Well, it might not get into a U-bend, but it'll get down to the bottom and you can scoop it out, and that's what that's for. I don't need it, but it was in a skip, and I love fixing stuff. Right, what else can I show you? Before I go outside, let's say hello and thanks to the members of the channel. Potato Man, Kevin Kerr, Washing Lad 1400, and Washing Land. 4 members, more than I thought there would be on the channel, and that's pretty excellent. So let's go outside and have a look at those last 2 washing machines out here. Well, we'll have a look at one of them. You don't need to see both really, because the story is just to be told. So this is a Bosch. I can't remember where it came from. I don't know, did I pay for it or did I find it and fix it? Like, you'll tell me. 1600 Express. I think I've made a video of it somewhere. Might have just been one of these videos. I think it works. It was in the garage for a while. I've attempted to sell this for 30 quid, unlike me, and I've had one messenger offering to take it off my hands for free, but in more like will you give it me kind of language, and I said lol. And then they came back a few days later and they attempted to drive to my house and went to my address in a completely different part of the world, about half an hour away. And then a few days later, now whether that happened or not is up to you to figure out, but from the phone call that I got, I suspected they were lost and in the wrong town completely. And then they wanted to offer me 15 for it, and then they wanted it for free again. And so that's what you're up against trying to sell, second-hand appliances. That machine, I reckon, in a world where things were valued, it's worth 100 quid straight away. But, people say, you should give it to someone needy. I don't know what that means anymore, because sometimes people who are needy live on credit, and sometimes people who are genuinely needy, I don't know what I'm saying here. It did my head in, and I'm just more likely to scrap it now than anything else without doing anything to it, except that I know it's a good Bosch 1600, a 1600 spin washing machine. They don't come along every day. Similar story for this Beko in here, if you can see it behind all the buggies. That Beko works perfectly. It's just got a door that droops, so the door hinge or the door plastic is damaged and the door doesn't close right unless you lift it about half an inch. You can't slam the door shut or push it shut. You have to lift it gently and close it. Nobody wants that. I have advertised it for sale at a reasonable price. So there you go. Selling things. I've told you before in 100 videos, probably 100 times, that I don't like selling stuff, and that's why. I think they're too good to throw out, but I don't have anybody who needs them at the moment. Normally, like, I gave that tumble dryer over Beyond to Andy. He gave it back to me. That was the condition. Give it back to me if it breaks. I'll try and fix it, because that's what I like to do. I like trying to fix stuff. Same thing goes for that 6 kilo vented tumble dryer. Now, I guess we're going into summer and it's not tumble dryer season, but still, tumble dryer for nothing. I'm selling them for, I don't know what I've put that up for, 20 quid, something like that. It's not a real price. It's a you're not getting it for free, so don't just expect everything. It's just a small token amount of money in my head. And yeah, okay, 20 quid's a lot of money some people, but come and haggle and get it for a tenner or something like that. But anyways, I'm probably just going to take the ads down because I cannot be bothered with that kind of thing. So if you tell, you know, if you're telling me, and maybe the people who watch this video aren't the people who tell me in the other videos, oh, you should sell that to somebody. Well, I'm just telling you how it is. And then there's one other idea that I'd appreciate. I'll go back to the shed where it's quieter. I don't know if you can hear the traffic noise, but where I live there's traffic. Oh no, there's one other thing after this. I'll do this first and then I'll go out the front and show you what another upcoming video will be about. So back in here on the bench, where it doesn't make any sense to do this, I'll go back out here. Bear with me, because I think this is an interesting idea, whether it's a good idea or not. Step over the collection of microwave oven transformers into here. I'll get my kryptonite U-lock. Take it into the shed where it's quiet. That's the answer. That's what I'm trying to do here. So let's clear some space. Kryptonite U-lock. I know that a bolt cutters will cut this. Kryptonite Series 2 Crypto Lock. I have cut 2 of these in videos about cutting bolt cutters, cutting U-locks with bolt cutters. And they're very popular videos, and I kind of enjoy it, because you find these locks, you see them on the street, and it's clear that they've fallen off someone's bike. They've, you know, bounced out of a basket or something like that. And I pick them up. Well, I leave them for a few days, and it might be a week or 2 later, or you put them up on a wall where they won't get driven over by a car or something like that, and they don't come back for them. And it's a shame, because, you know, someone's paid 20, 30 quid maybe for a lock like this. Maybe more nowadays, I don't know. It's a shame. But so I was thinking, right, the power of casting aluminium and a lock like this, we could make one of those beefy locks that you, what do you call it? They're angle grinder proof locks. So, you know, an angle grinder will get through this in 20 seconds or something like that. Like a little angle grinder like this Aldi Ferex affair with a blade in it will cut through that anywhere. Take it on location, it runs on a battery, cut through any U-lock, no problem. Make a bit of noise, couple of sparks, but it'll do it. If you wrap this in a big sleeve of aluminium, maybe 1.5 inches wide, it can't do it. And that's the trick. So if we could make a casting, it would probably weigh a bit, but by putting aluminium around it, these things don't like aluminium. So you could make like a sleeve to go around it, and then a clamshell to go around this guy, or just a tube for it to slide over, but you'd still have to get access to the keyhole. So I'll have to do some figuring there to try and figure out how long a key would need to be. But you could make an extension for the key, and you could have this big beefy lock, and it could be pretty cool, you know? It would look like a big fat sausage lock. They sell them, you know, for hundreds of pounds. I can't remember what they're called. Somebody will know and they'll put it in the comments below. They sell them for hundreds of pounds, and well, I reckon we could make one. You know, with my, I take 2 of these with me for locking the cargo bike if I'm somewhere that I think I need to lock it. I put a lock on each wheel and a cable around, or I put a lock this to the frame, to the thing that I'm locking it to, and then a cable around one wheel and then another lock on another wheel. You know, overkill maybe for a beat up old cargo bike, but you're locking your journey home. You're not locking your bike. If someone wants to rob your bike, they're going to rob your bike. You're putting a lock on it that's worth more than your journey home. That's the issue. You've got to get yourself home again. Your bike's gone if it's stolen. Nobody's going to find it again. But you still have to get home. That's what I reckon anyways with bike locks. Right. So there's an idea for that, to make a casting of aluminium. And you could probably cast around this U shape in situ. So you could just pour the aluminium around it in a sand mould. It's going to weigh a ton, but I don't really care. Actually, I've got another cheaper U-lock with keys somewhere that we got ages ago. I might practice on that because I kind of like these kryptonites. And it's got a deeper shackle as well, so you'd get an extra 1 or 2 inches there. You could beef up this bit without sacrificing your depth. So that's an idea that's been in my head, to use those nitrous oxide flasks, because they're really good aluminium in those nitrous oxide flasks. I made a video before about casting up these aluminium pulley brackets. Whoops. Oh, it's all gone wrong down there. I've made these myself out of aluminium, and they're lovely. You know, you just press it into sand and you make a little sand casting, and you heat up your aluminium in a forge that you've made yourself. There's forge videos on my channel. Have a look at them. Right, 20 minutes of me waffling. I'll take my glass and have a quick drink. That's better for my voice. Back out here with my squeaky shoe out to the front of the house where there is a new solar installation. So we'll just have a quick look here. This is just over a door. I've put 3 panels there and they never worked right because 3 panels wasn't enough to wake up the inverter. So I stuck up here. I stuck another panel here which is on the same kind of angle, and now that works as a string of 4, but that's just on the way. It's not what I'm here to show you. Out the front. Out the front. There's a video coming on this imminently. First of all, another string of 4 kind of vertical cracked panels. The ones inside are cracked as well. And then here, you can hear the traffic noise, it's louder out here. 5 panels. I've got 2 more of this kind of this exact type of panel, but I've put 5 up for now just so that I can get in the side gate. I could put another 2 on here. These have a tree in front of them, 3 trees in front of them, and the trees are going to go into leaf. But as it stands, these are 420 watt panels times 5 is 2.1 kilowatts, and they were putting out 1 kilowatt yesterday or the day before whenever I installed them, and I haven't really been watching it since. But you can see the glass, maybe it's badly cracked here, it's badly cracked there, that one's a bit smashed. These are brand new panels that were crushed in a shipping container, and I paid 50 quid and a box of beer for 7 of them, and I'm running them on an inverter that I bought for 20 quid at an auction, I think. No, maybe I paid even less for it from Ian, man in the shed. I can't remember where I got the inverter from. I was also given one of those inverters as well from another friend, so it might have only cost me 50 quid for this installation. But yeah, more panels, and there'll be a video on the full installation, how you wire them and whatnot, in a semi-vague way, but it's what I did. There's the bus, right? Panels. I think this wraps it up then. Gas bottles for the forge. Lock that. Oh yeah, I got this fellow here. This is a mobike. These have all been decommissioned in Manchester. They were this like ride sharing app bike, not ride sharing, but bike sharing app thing where the bikes had a lock on them, which has clearly been smashed off this one, and you'd borrow it through an app. This one was left down a back alley abandoned with a smashed up back tyre. So the back tyre, I think what happened was the bike was locked and somebody dragged it home and wore a completely bald spot in it. So what it meant was the bike was unrideable because it would go clunk clunk, well not clunk clunk, but it would go clunk every revolution, and it was horrible to ride. So it's a 24-inch wheel. Everything about them is bicycle but not quite right. And it's covered in security fasteners. So it's a 24-inch tyre, 24-inch wheel, and it had this fellow here as the tube, a puncture-proof, like solid but kind of lightweight, pliable rubber tube with this divot that goes into the rim. So there's no valve hole. So I had to cut a valve hole, which is simple enough. I just drilled a hole in it, put a valve in there, and put a 24-inch tyre that is a good tyre, but it was bought in error because I bought it thinking it was a 20-inch and it was an error listing, so I still got them really cheap. 2 tyres, but I don't know what I'm going to do. But the issue is then the tyre rubs off the frame down in there, so the tyre's too fat for the bike. So what I need to do is, it's only a millimetre or 2, get these fasteners out, but they're a pentagon with a dimple, and I don't even have a pentagon set of spanners. It's not a hexagon, so I'm going to have to make something up to get those off, which won't be hard. I'll just make some kind of a tool to take them off, and then put a couple of spacers in behind and use, I think they're M8s in there, stainless M8s. It's kind of cool. So they used 3 of these pentagons on the back and 2 Torx with the dimple, and I had those ones, so I was able to take them out. And everything on the bike, you can see here on the brake disc, it's Torx with a dimple, it's Pentagon with a dimple on the cranks. Everything's a bit tricky, and it all doesn't come apart, but it does. So it's like this kind of thing where you'd have to think about it. But as a bike, it's just awful, because the gear ratio means you can only go slow. It's not designed to go very far. It's designed to be like your last mile from the station to a house or to a shop or whatever, and then you come back again on it later on, or somebody else does. And it's missing its basket. It was all beat up, it was left out, the brake levers all bent up and stuff, you know. There you go. Anyways, while I'm out here, I made a video about this. I think, I don't know if I've published it yet, but these are the front suspension shocks, the McPherson struts off my car. And one day I was going around a corner with passengers, and the strut just went pop, and the plate that should look like this, it just fell off. It just fell off the strut, and I drove home with the spring plate, so the bottom of this plate on the bottom of the missing one was rubbing off the tire. So I've made a video of that too, if you go and check it out. And then, so I replaced all of that stuff on the car, and the car's fine now. It's got its MOT in a month. We'll find out if it's really fine then. When I did that, I had to get the tracking done because it was wearing the edges of the tires, because the car was now riding so much higher on new springs that the tips of the tires were getting worn. But you know, that job's all sorted out. Right, I think you know everything. There's the spare 2 panels that I haven't installed. And the reason I didn't was because these ones got a worse bash. Like, that's where a panel kind of crushed inwards and smashed out the frame. So they all work, but that one's quite bad. But if you put it at the top of the panel with a good angle on it, it should be okay. But I don't know if I'll bother. Right, I don't know what else to say. You've heard loads of news out of Bootsy today. Oh, you can have a look at my signs and stickers. If you want to send me a sticker, tell me about it. I've got Ian Matthews up there, and Haxby Shed, and my own sticker. And I've got this nice sign that I got at a car boot sale. I'd love to know where that came from, with a bit of radiation. Weird. Right. You've been a worthy follower if you've gotten this far. If you haven't subscribed, and some people keep telling me that they've only just subscribed even though they've been following for years, do give us a subscribe. I think liking the video is a great idea, because it lets me know that this is the kind of video you like. But there's nothing I notice more than comments. I try to respond to all of them, and I do, if they're any kind of meaningful comment at all, you know, that I can respond to with an answer. Typically I will, or I'll give it a thing to say that I've seen it, the little heart thing. So yeah, if you want to be a member, be a member. If you found a video helpful, donate to the channel through PayPal or something else. That's all great, or a super thanks. But comments are just lovely. You know, comments, especially if you have done a bit of thinking about U-locks, or thinking about the what's the other problem going on with that silly tumble dryer there. If you know anything about why it's a heat pump tumble dryer would trip the fuse, let me know. Balfi, I know you already know the answer to this one if you're watching this video. Oh yeah, one last bit of interesting stuff. The reason there's such a cluster of crap here, I can hear the geese going overhead. I can't see them though. Right, no geese. I can hear them. From here, 3 meters that way, it's a piece of wood, 12 inches by 14. It's an old beam out of an old house, neighbour house. It's just massive, and it was too good. They're not geese at all, they're seagulls. We don't need to see that. It's just a wonderful big piece of wood, and I couldn't let it go, but I don't need it. So I need some idea for that big piece of wood, if you're in the thinking mood. There's a siren, that's pretty grim. Questions or comments, leave them below. I'll have to tidy this up eventually. See you later.